Unit 7. Skills Test. Listening. Listen to people talking in 10 different situations. Choose the correct answer A to C for questions 1 to 10. You will hear each situation twice. 1. You hear two friends talking about a public event.
Well, that was spectacular! With those robots walking round the fountain and the dancers hanging on wires. They were so high up. It was amazing!
I don't understand how people do that sort of thing. I'm terrified of heights.
They've had lots of practice and training, I suppose.
They couldn't do it without that. The light show on the front of the theatre was impressive too.
I couldn't see much of it from where I was standing. I wasn't expecting there'd be so many spectators.
Apparently, there were more than 100,000 people there, far more than I predicted. It's good for our city, though.
2. You hear part of an interview with a writer.
So, how do you start writing a book?
Sometimes I do a lot of research, then work out a plot, adding details bit by bit. I take care not to forget the age, relationships, feelings, or abilities of a character. This process can take more than a year, and once that's done, I can start writing. The other way I sometimes write is looser. It's like having a narrative ready inside my head, which I have to dig out carefully. Then I start writing without a plan or even knowing exactly where the story's going. It's very satisfying. It's as if I'm not in control and the book writes itself.
3. You overhear a girl recommending a new bookshop.
Can you recommend a good bookshop?
Sure. There's one called Chapter on Southover Street. It's got a good selection of graphic novels, though they're no cheaper than they would be online. The people working there seem to have read everything that's ever been written. If you ask them to recommend a book, they always come up with good suggestions. You can have coffee and cake there and use their free internet connection, though it's not very reliable. I sometimes buy a book and then hang out in the cafe for a bit afterwards.
4. You hear a news report about a new school rule.
All electronic devices with screens, games, computers, laptops, mobile phones, and even TVs have been banned at Strand School for students under 16. And that doesn't just mean during school hours. Parents have signed a contract agreeing that their children will not use any of these devices after school, at weekends, or during the holidays. The head teacher, known for her interest in psychology and new teaching methods, is supported in her idea by the school psychologist, who is certain the new policy will lead to a reduction in stress among students. However, several students have already requested changes to it.
5. You hear part of a conversation with an artist.
I never know what to paint. Where do you get your inspiration?
Interesting question. My ideas come from all sorts of places. My childhood, places I've travelled to, and even from my dreams. So look through old photos, draw when you go places, and make a note of your dreams. You'll soon get inspiration. The tricky thing is how to turn these ideas into images. That's why it's so important to study different techniques: drawing, painting, mixed media. If you want to learn some of them, you can find short courses at the local art school. A good teacher can help tremendously when you start.
6. You hear a media studies lecturer talking to her class.
We used to rely on TV and radio for the news. Then we used mobiles to get news from the internet. And today, social media sites are very popular places to get news. But lately, we've discovered that a lot of news on the internet is not news, but lies. Stories about politicians and celebrities are regularly made up on news sites
to get more visitors and more money from advertising. You see, when a site is popular, businesses pay a lot to place adverts there. Many of us now realise that news on social media can be false, and we try to be more careful about trusting it. So, will we find TV and radio regaining popularity as news sources? Probably not.
7. You hear a teacher talking to students about a film club.
I'm sure you'll agree it's been amazing working together to set up our film club. The 3 short films on relationships which you've created are tremendous achievements. I hope you all enjoyed exchanging ideas and feel, as I do, that it's been a worthwhile project. The idea is to keep the club going for future students, so I'd like you to keep thinking about how we can change and develop. Keep thinking about things we can do in our film club, whether it's watching or making films. All suggestions for future projects will be much appreciated.
8. You hear 2 friends talking about performing in a school show.
Are you ready for the show tomorrow?
Yes, but last week I couldn't remember half my dance. So I've been going over it for hours in front of a mirror, and I've got that under control now.
Well done. Imagine how embarrassing it would be if you went wrong in front of everyone. The whole school would laugh at you and post about you on social media.
I don't think my friends would be that nasty, though I'd feel bad.
If only we'd had more rehearsals. They're the only way to improve.
You were brilliant at the dress rehearsal, so you'll be fine tomorrow.
Oh, I'm not so sure. I bet I forget one of my lines in that long speech at the end.
9. You hear 2 friends talking about learning to read and write.
Do you remember learning to read?
Mum taught me the letters with beautiful pictures of animals. Apparently, I was only 3 at the time. But though I wasn't keen, I'm glad that she did. I didn't read my first long book until much later. It was a book of myths, and there's a picture of a wooden horse on the cover.
That was my favourite too. I remember learning to write the word mum at nursery school. When I got home, I took my dad's leather diary from his desk and started writing in it with a thick red pen. Well, I thought I was writing, but I was very young, so it was quite messy. It gave me a good start, though.
10. You hear a famous actress talking about how she started acting.
So, tell us about how you started acting.
My mother wanted me to try it. Strange, really, considering she was very shy and acting's hardly a sensible career path. I think she hoped I'd gain self-confidence. My friend went to acting classes and I went with her one winter's day when I was 7. In our first lesson, we had to pretend to open a box and discover things inside it. We had to do this in silence. Some of the kids had wild imaginations. They were finding snakes, birds, creatures from Mars, magic sandals. I found a letter from my mother telling me to be brave and keep trying, which was a great relief.